desperate set of parents decide to hire a drop-dead gorgeous girl to pretend to be their painfully awkward son's girlfriend. The catch? He must never, under any circumstances, discover their little scheme. Our story kicks off with a girl named Maddie bolting out of her house because Gary, a smug bank employee, is about to repo her car. Maddie's mom had taken out a massive loan to finish building their house, but after she passed away, guess who inherited the lovely debt? Yeah, Maddie. Ever since, she's been grinding like there's no tomorrow, slinging coffee and pancakes in the morning and driving a taxi at night. Here's the kicker. Gary is her ex-boyfriend. And despite their messy breakup, he's still carrying a torch the size of the Statue of Liberty. Right as he's explaining why he has to take her car, some half-naked dude strolls out of Maddie's house, wearing nothing but boxers and a confident smile. Gary's jealousy meter immediately hits the red zone. Maddie quickly explains that it's just a distant cousin crashing at her place. Gary's starting to buy it when cousin Casanova saunters over and starts stroking Maddie's arm like they're some cheesy romance novel. That's it. Gary's had enough. He storms off, taking her car with him. Now carless, Maddie has to rollerblade to work. On her way, she spots Gary's tow truck parked outside a gas station. When she sees him browsing the snack aisle like he's got all the time in the world, a brilliant plan forms in her head. She sneaks into her car and hits the gas, only to discover there's a massive chain still attached to the front bumper. With everyone at the gas station now staring at her, she floors it, trying to break free, which immediately alerts Gary to her amateur heist attempt. When she finally makes it to work, her friend Sarah and Sarah's husband Jim try to cheer her up. After hearing about her automotive disaster, they offer to help her find a decent used car. While scrolling through listings on Jim's phone, Maddie stumbles across the most bizarre classified ad ever. A wealthy family seeking a 20-year-old girl to be their son's girlfriend, and they're willing to throw in a free car as payment. She's on the fence about whether she should actually apply for this bizarre gig, so Sarah hits her with some brutal honesty. Girl, you're literally not going to find a better job than this. The next day, Maddie rolls up to the fancy family's mansion and meets the parents. They give her the rundown on their son. He's 19, brilliant, genuinely funny, but somehow has the social skills of a hermit crab. The kid never goes out, dodges parties like they're contagious, can't hold a conversation to save his life, and treats girls like they're some terrifying alien species. His entire social life consists of staring at his phone, which has his parents in full panic mode because college is looming and they're convinced he's going to crash and burn socially. After hearing this tragic tale, Maddie asks what exactly they want her to do. Simple, they say. Just help him come out of his shell and boost his confidence. Oh, and one tiny detail. He can absolutely never find out any of this is staged. They'll need to engineer some totally natural meet cute. And if their son starts showing signs of actual human interaction, boom, free car. Maddie is locked and loaded to become Percy's fake girlfriend extraordinaire. So she marches into the veterinary clinic where he works, armed with the world's most transparent excuse. She's thinking about adopting a puppy. But subtlety is clearly not Maddie's strong suit. She's practically doing backflips to get Percy's attention, which makes her about as inconspicuous as a neon sign. When her over-the-top performance fails spectacularly, she offers to drive him home. Percy politely declines, explaining he has his trusty bicycle. Without missing a beat, Maddie grabs his bike, chucks it into the van she borrowed, and announces, "Well, looks like you don't have a bike anymore." Now, that's what you call strategic thinking. Percy is having a full-blown anxiety attack, but somehow still agrees to the ride. During the drive, Maddie cranks up the flirting and suggests they make a little detour to spend some quality time together. Percy's brain immediately jumps to the worst-case scenario, kidnapping. So he does what any rational person would do. Secretly calls 911 and pepper sprays his potential abductor right in the face. Luckily, they'd already pulled up to Maddie's place, so she stumbles out of the car, eyes streaming, and points out the obvious flaw in his kidnapping theory. "If I was actually going to abduct you, genius, I would have taken you somewhere abandoned, not my own house." Percy's two brain cells finally connect, and he realizes he's made a spectacular mistake. In a moment of pure panic-induced brilliance, he grabs the nearest garden hose and blasts her face with water because apparently that's his idea of first aid. Feeling guilty about his amateur detective work, Percy agrees to go on a proper date that night. Maddie takes him to a trendy bar where everyone immediately starts snickering at his completely wrong for the venue outfit. But she's determined to build up his confidence, so she tells him he looks amazing and orders him a drink. That's when one of Maddie's exes materializes like a bad penny, plops down next to Percy, and launches into a sob story about how Maddie dumped him for no reason, and how it totally destroyed his soul or whatever. You can practically hear something snap inside Percy's brain. To escape the awkward ex-boyfriend telenovela, Maddie drags him to the beach. Percy immediately points out they can't go in because it's past 9 p.m. and the beach closes at 8. Maddie waves off his rule-following concerns with a classic, YOLO, live a little. So they strip down and make a mad dash for the ocean. While they're chatting in the waves, a group of opportunistic beach thieves decides to make off with their clothes. But Maddie is not about that life. She storms out of the water like some vengeful sea goddess and decks one of the would-be clothing bandits, demanding they return her stuff. The guys suddenly lose their enthusiasm for petty theft and bolt. When she gets back in the water, Percy admits that was pretty badass, and she responds with a casual, "That's just how I roll." She tries to get closer, but Percy backs away, saying he's uncomfortable because she's basically a total stranger. Maddie gets frustrated and storms out to get dressed. She heads back to the borrowed car and before driving off tells Percy he should probably get dressed too since she can see everything. But Percy is drowning in guilt, so he does the most logical thing possible. Climbs onto the windshield and announces he's not moving until they can talk it out. Maddie is not in the mood for rooftop negotiations, so she just starts driving with Percy plastered to her windshield like the world's most awkward hood ornament. As they cruise down the street, Percy is getting sandblasted by the wind and begging her to stop. Things get infinitely worse when a police car starts tailing them with flashing lights. Instead of pulling over like a normal person, Maddie channels her inner GTA character and starts weaving through every back alley she knows, trying to lose the cops. Eventually, they make it back to her place. She puts on some romantic music and starts doing this weird car rocking thing, thinking she's finally going to seduce Percy. His response? He kicks her away because apparently that's his go-to move now. A little later, Maddie notices he's got some nasty welts on his back from whatever stung him during their oceanic adventure, so she puts some soothing cream on them. Percy thanks her for being so kind despite his string of social disasters, and to make up for being a complete mess, he asks her out for the next day. They end up having the most amazing day, hitting up the carnival, playing laser tag, and actually talking like normal humans. Maddie opens up about how her parents never accepted her for who she was, and Percy tells her that he thinks she's perfect exactly as she is. Finally, the guy works up the courage to kiss her. Later, Percy introduces her to his best friend Jody, but this guy has some serious radar for BS. He pulls Maddie aside and drops the bomb. "I know you're up to something, and I'm going to figure out what it is before you destroy my friend." Then he hits her with the real kicker. And just so we're clear, Percy's parents' money will never be yours. That evening, Percy takes Maddie to this super fancy restaurant. When he spots a piano, he encourages her to play and sing for everyone because apparently she's got some serious talent. Percy absolutely kills it. His voice has everyone mesmerized, and for the first time in his life, he's performing in front of a crowd without having a panic attack. Before heading back to Maddie, one of his classmates comes over to chat and invites him to a graduation party happening in a few days. Plot twist. Instead of his usual thanks but no thanks, Percy actually says he'll think about it. When he gets back to the table, he mentions that his classmate seems really nice. Maddie just smiles, but inside she's dying because she knows she's playing with his feelings. On the drive home, Percy decides to experiment with alcohol for the first time and gets absolutely wasted. In his drunken state, he tells Maddie he's ready to take their relationship to the next level. He's planning to get his driver's license before college so he can visit her on weekends, and then, bless his heart, he whips out a handful of condoms because apparently drunk Percy has zero filter. Maddie gently confiscates his contraband and explains that maybe they should wait until he's not completely hammered so he can actually enjoy the experience. The next morning, Percy announces to his parents that he's going to get his driver's license. They're over the moon until he drops the bombshell that he's ditching college because he doesn't want a long-distance relationship with Maddie. The second he leaves, his parents are speed dialing Maddie, reminding her that the deal was to encourage college, not sabotage it. She promises to fix everything, and they tell her she can keep the car once she does. Plot twist. Percy heard the entire conversation because his mom's phone was connected to the car's Bluetooth. He trudges back to his room, completely crushed, realizing that everything with Maddie was just an elaborate performance. But despite his broken heart, he invites her to dinner with his parents and introduces her as his girlfriend. Then he gets a text from a friend and steps outside to ask for a favor: help him destroy the car they promised Maddie. Together, they ram it straight into a tree because apparently Percy has discovered his destructive side. When he gets back, he takes Maddie to his room for his first time. It's brief. But Maddie doesn't make him feel bad about it. Afterward, he casually mentions that a tree destroyed your car, and that's when Maddie realizes he knows everything. Percy asks if their entire relationship was just a game to her, but Maddie insists it wasn't. She really does care about him and even loves him. She only took the job to save her house, but her feelings became real. Despite her heartfelt explanation, Percy is too hurt to listen. He asks her to leave, and she does. Over the next few days, Percy retreats back into his shell, except now he's also nursing a broken heart. Maddie is a complete wreck, crying constantly and feeling terrible about hurting him. Finally, she works up the courage to find him and apologize, but Percy ignores her and gets in his car. Then something snaps. He starts driving like a maniac toward the beach, with Maddie terrified in the passenger seat as the tables have completely turned. At one point, Maddie's face smashes against the window, and then Percy drives the car straight into the ocean. Maddie goes flying, which finally snaps Percy out of his rage. He rushes to rescue her, and when they're both safely on shore, he breaks down crying and holds her tight. Months later, Percy is packing for college. His parents mention that someone else will be driving him to campus. When he steps outside, there's Maddie asking if he needs a taxi. He smiles, loads his bags into her car, and greets her little dog. As they drive away together, they exchange looks filled with love and second chances.